Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. Before we get started, if you haven't done so already, or you're new to the channel, leave a like, subscribe, and if you really want to give some feedback for the channel or my videos, feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section below. Now, today we're going to be starting off just in qualifying. As you can see, we're in the USF2000 today. I do apologize that I haven't uploaded a video like this in a little while. The last couple have been live streams of my league races in both, I believe, actually no, I've only been doing it in Sidewinder, but in the different leagues and series in that league. In ARCA, I believe Xfinity and the Cup Series. I've done a couple of them. Been racing that a couple weeks now. Going to be taking a break from Xfinity on Tuesday night, so I'm going to actually be going into a Formula 4 league soon, but more on that in a little while. As you can see, I run really wide on my first green lap, so obviously lap time is going to be invalidated. So I'm going to have to go around and basically take another out lap, try to warm the tires up, get a little more grip back into them. They've cooled down a bit. I've worn a little bit of the tires off now by running wide. But ultimately, we have 2 laps to qualify. So this one, it doesn't count because of this. I have a very, very big wreck. Nothing caused by anyone else, obviously. Coming over that crest of that hill, you need to lift off a touch or make sure the car is completely straight, or that's what is going to happen to you, no matter who you are, what car you're driving, whatever setup you have. So what actually happens, because I go back to the pits, not under my own control or my own power, it still doesn't count that I have finished my first qualifying lap. So this gives me another chance to have another out lap. Yes, my time was going to be over, I think, 2 minutes for this lap. But in hindsight, this is going to give me a little bit better of a chance in my second lap to make a good position here in qualifying. We're at Lime Rock Park this week. I'm very familiar with this course. I've raced street stocks here. I've raced, I believe, Formula 4 here. I have raced Formula V here. Even some of the Mazda MX-5 series from rookies. I'm very well versed in the track. Obviously, different cars are going to have different handling capabilities in the track, a little bit different speeds, stuff like that. That's going to take into, or that you have to take into account. But I know the layout of the track. There are a couple different ones I've run. This one is the full circuit where you go right to the outside. You don't cut up into that little chicane. But overall, I'm very comfortable on this track. This is not my first race or practice session with the USF either. But crossing the line, we are going to qualify in 8th place, which is very good for me, actually. Now, I'm not towards the front of the pack. I believe we only had 10 or 12 racers in this session. As you can see, we're going to get started. We're going to jump right into the race here. I think we actually only had the 10 of us. We had 10 or 13 registered, but only 10 actually started the race. Now, these all start with a rolling start. Oh, there we go. Never mind. They're pulling up behind us there now. They had to catch up. So I think we had 10 or 11. But anyway, these all have rolling starts because this isn't technically like a formula series where you would start, you know, with a standing start, everyone's starting on the grid, and then you basically go from there. This is almost like a build-up to IndyCar kind of deal. So those would have, from what I'm aware, a rolling start. So same idea here. Now, starting off, things are going to be a little hectic. Things are going to be a little tight. Pace cars going in. But I managed to keep my cool through turn 1. and also turn 2 and 3, because that's where things are going to be super tight right off the bat. Now, I don't have a great jump on the start, but coming around turn 1, the big bend, we also have a guy starting from the pit lanes. You can kind of catch the back there. So I believe we actually did have 13 or 14 run the race. It was hard to tell here just because they aren't all right there at the start. I'm going to have number 7 really trying to push and pressure. He does get by me. I'm not too concerned. He blinks in and out really bad throughout the race. But as you can see, we're going to make an easy overtake there. He basically just gives us the position, opens the door, and I take it. We have, unfortunately, one of the guys didn't let off through that crest, and he definitely lost a little bit of control of the vehicle at that point. So, starting off, we've moved up. Actually, I don't think we actually have moved up, because we had the car pass us right in the beginning, then we managed to overtake this guy. So, still in P8 at this point. Now, with Lime Rock, it's not a very technically challenging course. It's a fairly wide track, like you can fit a couple cars across, which is nice. It's got a couple of main, like obviously the main straight coming into turn 1, which is the big bend. Coming up over the crest is the little bit of the sketchy bit. And then coming around here down the next crest and then around. You can take this at full speed, actually. You can take it flat out. I did here. Got a really good exit speed on him as he overtook me going down the crest, and then I'm going to overtake him going into the big bend, into turn 1 here. I'm going to take the inside line. He's going to lock up slightly, so he's going to run a little bit wide. That gives me the opportunity to take the inside on him, and from there I don't think he ever actually gets it back. I managed to do fairly well, so at this point we're up into P7. Moving up fairly steadily. That's fairly good for me. Sometimes I do have trouble at the beginning of the race making it out of turn 1 and 2, just because of how hectic and tight and crazy it can be and how much chaos can be caused in the first lap. But now that we've separated all a little bit, it gives me an opportunity to really put my pedal to the floor and really just focus on putting in some good lap times, making up some time on the cars ahead of me. And as well, there are going to be a few incidents and mistakes made by other drivers through this race. So that's going to give me a little bit more of an opportunity to work my way up the field. So as I mentioned, coming through turn 1, 2, and 3, fairly easy, nothing super technical. Now coming up to the crest here, a little bit of brake, downshift into 4th, and as you come over the crest, that's when I upshift into 5. Now you're going to move back down into 4 here as you take the turn. This is how I find it most comfortable, at least for myself. Then coming down this crest, I go right into 5th gear, slight lift just to get the car turned, and then flat out the rest of the corner there. Coming down main straight, obviously nothing too crazy. Then going into turn number 1, the big bend, you want to take, or at least what usually worked for me, I take a bit of a late apex. That way I'm not stuck to the inside, losing a lot of speed. That way I can kind of carry a little bit more speed through the corner. Once I hit the apex, I can back off the throttle a little bit. I don't need to be flat out through there. Just a little feather in the throttle, good throttle control, easy. And then easily just apply the throttle a little bit more as you go through and exit the corner. I think I've mentioned in a few of my videos, but the one thing I'm really trying to use, and I'm getting way better at it now, is the whole slow in, fast out. Carrying your speed through and not necessarily having to sorry, I'm at a loss for words. I guess having to brake all the way through the corner. You can trail brake, but not having to slow the car down so much you're going to lose a lot of time. As you can see, the cars ahead of me are going to get into a little bit of a battle, squabble a little bit here, which is going to start letting me gain on them a little bit here as they try to battle. they're not always going to be obviously at full speed. Sometimes one's going to back off, which is going to give me a little bit more time, because at this point I am pushing this car. I could be taking a little bit more curb, but at the same time these cars get unsettled very, very easily. So I'm trying not to take a lot of the curb if I can, because that is a very good way to unsettle your car. Now, as you can see coming down the main straight, I do have this guy on my tailpipe here. He's going to be putting quite a bit of pressure on me through the course of the race here. Now, I believe that was number 7 ahead of me there, the one that kept blinking in and out. Yes, he wasn't going to be much more of an issue. Yes, he did pass this guy here. I'm going to go by him here, I believe, after the crest. Yeah, I moved to the inside. We both overtake. Coming down the crest into turn... Actually, I can't remember the number of the turn, but it's the last turn. He's going to back off and let us go by. He wasn't actually a back marker from what I am aware. At this point, I moved up into P6. Now, this guy is going to attempt an overtake, as you see number 3 go sliding off as he locks his brakes, but I go very defensive through that corner. That is where the fast or slow in, fast out really does help, especially when you have to be on the defensive side of things. So we're actually going to jump a little bit further into the race here now, and because at this point we didn't have a whole lot going on up until this point, nothing really happened in terms of overtaking, losing positions, all that stuff. Still in P6, and right now just trying to, keep improving my lap times. Not going to be as fast, as the tires are going to start falling off here. Not literally falling off the car, but the grip of the tire is going to start falling off a bit. Now we have number 22 come up behind us again. I believe that's his number. It's kind of hard to see, but he was putting on quite a bit of pressure on my laps here. I was trying to be as defensive as possible while still trying to be somewhat aggressive so that my lap times weren't going to suffer. And something else to note here, that the race wasn't a certain set amount of laps. It was over 15 minutes. So basically at this point, whoever, as you can see, we had a guy spin out there as well, but we didn't have a set amount of laps, so it's however many laps you can complete, and whoever had the most amount of laps actually set in that 15 minutes. Pretty easy. That guy's going to lock up and go right off. I did move up into P5 at this point. I was feeling pretty comfortable, managed to keep my pace pretty good, but at the same time, I did have pressure pretty much from here on out. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to take the same line that I've always been taking through the race, using the racing line, trying to get the optimal time each lap, because if I can start putting a little bit of a gap between myself and the car behind me, that's going to make things a little bit easier for me in the long run. I'm not going to be burning up tires as quickly, because I'm not going to need to use as much grip to try and keep him behind me. I'm not going to have to push as hard. Try to coast a little bit more through corners if I can to save fuel, tires, all that good stuff. But unfortunately, he's not going to be off my my bumper and my tailpipe. If you have any questions, kind of what's going on with the mirrors, why they're black, and why can't you see anything behind, that's just kind of a replay thing for iRacing. That isn't something that's necessarily wrong with the game or the sim. That's just something that happens through the replays. You don't get to see the car behind you. I guess it's a little bit too much processing power or something like that, or post-processing for iRacing in terms of replays. Now, coming down onto the main straight again, we're going to be fine until we hit the big bend. You're going to see here as the camera switches, he's going to overtake here into the corner. He basically had the better line. I took the outside. I didn't want to make a late move and end up wrecking the both of us out. Try to be as sportsmanlike as possible, respectful, etiquette, all that good stuff. So, as I mentioned before, we're going to skip ahead again. Not a whole lot happened for a few laps. Kind of a cool angle here. I thought it was really nice to kind of add in, just trying to experiment as much as I can, give some different angles of what you guys might enjoy to see. Normally I try to run with a lot of the TV cameras and cockpit cameras and stuff like that, but if you guys do want to see some different camera angles, just let me know in the comments, and I can definitely try to implement them like this into my future uploads and future videos. Now, at this point, we had moved back into P6, just because after being overtaken, we were in P5, but then after he overtook us, we moved back down into P6. So that is pretty much where I'm going to stay the rest of the race here. I'm pushing as hard as I can to try to make up some better lap times and gain some time back on him. As you can see, turn 1 pretty much flawless through there. Really started to get a good feeling for the car. I know tires are going to start to fall off here. Obviously, again, not literally, but the grip is going to start getting a little bit reduced. So I'm trying to feel the car through corners. Didn't want to make any mistakes here. Didn't want to lose any more positions. So I believe out of 12 or 13, we're going to finish P6. I was pretty happy with that. Obviously not one of my best races. I have finished P4, P3, and P2 before, but I was definitely happy to be able to do that and do it cleanly. I had a very, very clean race. I didn't suffer many penalties or penalty points or incident points at all. My I rating went up a little bit. I believe my safety rating went up as well. Now you're going to see the number 10 car get ahead of us. I believe he was the one that spun out a little bit earlier, going under that little banner / overpass. Now, he's going to let the other car through just because whenever he was coming out of the pits, kind of bad timing. I was trying to get as close as I could because he was a back marker. He's a lapped car, but he was nice enough to let me through before coming down that final crest. And then around the last kind of big right-hander onto the main straight. And we're just going to kind of coast through at this point. I believe this is the end of the race. I was, like I said, very happy with my result. Yep, we're on basically our post-race lap now, just kind of our in-lap victory lap, but even though it's not a victory, but you know what I mean. I wanted to take a little bit of time just to run the course, come back into the pits. But overall, very happy with the P6 finish. Moved up 2 places, would have liked to have that P5, but you know, there are obviously better racers than I am out here, and it's an honor to be able to race with them in iRacing. I'm going to learn a lot from them, and hopefully someone can learn a lot from me at some point. But that's the end of the video for today, guys. Thanks for stopping by, and as always, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. And I might be off YouTube for a little bit. I'm just in the process of moving, but I will get the next video up as soon as I can for you guys. As I said before, thanks for stopping by. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.